Hey everyone, this is Harjan and welcome back to Blogging Unlocked. This is the first video of the second module of our course, and in this video I'm gonna actually dive into how to set up a website using WordPress, right? Till now you have got the idea of what a website is, how it is different from a blog, and you might have chosen a niche for your blog, but now it's the time for execution. Now you actually need to set up your website, and we will be going to do that in a moment. But before that, we will actually look for the two fundamental units of a website. What are the two fundamental units of a website? What actually is the process behind a website? What is going on over the internet? You need to know that, because in the long terms these are the basic things, but they actually help you out a lot, right? So the two fundamental units of a website are web hosting and a domain name. So let's understand them one by one. So what is a web hosting? Web hosting is typically a type of service in which a hosting provider allocates space on a web server for a website to store its files. Take an example of a movie. If we want to save a movie on our computer, where we will store it? We will store it on our hard drive, right? Similarly, when we want to set up a website, we need to store the data files of a website somewhere. So that particular space is known as the web hosting. So speaking in very simple terms, a web space where all your website data will be stored is a web hosting, right? So now moving on to the domain name. So what actually is a domain name? You need to understand this too, because see, these are actually the little things, little pieces of information, but actually if you are not from a technical background, understanding these little bits of information can be very useful to you. So a domain name is the address of your website that people usually type in the browser to visit your website. Let me give you an example to elaborate this. Suppose your website is a house, then what is your domain name will be? Domain name will be its address. So if you want to visit someone's home, then you need to have their address in order to reach the destination, right? So this is the thing behind a domain name and a hosting, right? So let's get on with the third technical thing, which is again amazing thing. That is DNS. So what is a DNS, right? So let's understand this also. So a DNS stands for domain name system. Basically it's a system that lets you connect to websites by matching the domain names with the server. And the server actually represent itself as a unique ID, which we generally known as the IP address. So basically what DNS do, it maps the domain name with that IP address, right? So what exactly happens is, think of the DNS system as the internet's phone book. What it does, it lists domain name with their corresponding identifiers, which we generally known as the IP addresses. And what it does, when a user enters a domain name like harshjandigital.com on their device, it looks up the IP address and connects them to the physical location of where the website is stored. So this is something which is DNS, right? Let's move on, and now it's time for you to think of a name for your blog. So how to choose a name for your blog? I need to give you some really cool pointers for this, because you need to know exactly what makes your blog stand out from the other blogs. So let's start with these points. So the number one thing you need to do is you need to stick with .com domain extensions. There are plenty of domain extensions available today like .com, .net, .org, but I personally recommend choosing a .com, because think of it like a general scenario. When I just have heard about a brand, so what will I as a user do to find out about that brand? What will I gonna do is, I just head over to my browser and I will type in the brand name along with .com extension, even without thinking if that actually exists or not. So why .com? Because people actually reminds it more than other extensions. It is more memorable. So you need to stick with .com. It can be used worldwide. You don't need to go for other extensions. So this is my personal recommendation, but if you want to go for some other extensions, you can, right? The next thing you need to keep in your mind is you need to use keywords in your domain name. So why you need to do this? Keywords actually play an important role in a domain, because by using keywords in your domain name, you tell the search engines what your website is about. Because along with quality content and good user experience, keywords in your domain can help you rank higher in Google. The next thing you need to keep in your mind is your domain name should be short. Yes, keywords play an important role, but you don't want to go above the domain length. So it's better to have a domain name that's short and memorable. I recommend keeping your domain name under 15 characters, because larger the domain and it will be really harder for your users to remember. And not to mention, user will also be more prone to entering typos, and longer domain names can also lead to the traffic loss. So to avoid these things, you need to actually keep your domain name short. The next thing you need to do is make it easy to pronounce and spell. You should be able to easily share your domain name when speaking as well as when you're writing. And this is because you will never know when you will be asked to share your domain name in person. So if you are planning to use your domain name to create a professional business email address, then it definitely should be easy to understand and really easy to spell, right? The next thing you need to keep in mind is keep it unique and brandable. This is something most people lags behind in. This is the point where 90% of people actually did mistakes. So you don't need to copy anyone. Your blog domain name must be unique. You can stand out in your reader's mind if you have a domain name which is unique. So it's actually smart to research other blogs in your niche and find out what domain names they are using, because you don't want to actually use a trademark name or get accused of copying another blogger, right? So make sure you don't do mistakes. You can also choose to pick a domain name that's more brandable. Brandable domains like Amazon.com and Flipkart.com. If you want to start your own brand and you are thinking of it in the long run, then you can go for such domains also, right? The next thing is avoid using hyphens in domain name, and this is something you need to actually keep in your mind always. This is must. You never create a domain name with hyphens, right? Hyphens can be a sign of spam domains which you do not want to be associated with you. So never use them. Avoid double letters. Trust me, it's a good idea to avoid domains with double letters, because it increases your chances of losing traffic to typos. And what it does is avoiding double letters will also make your domain easy to type and more brandable, right? Another thing you can do is you can use domain name generators for getting ideas. If you are not getting any idea, then you can go for domain name generators. There are more than 360 million registered domains, and finding your one is really a hectic task. And I personally know that, because whenever you want to go for a domain and you have some idea in your mind and you search for it, it turns out to be taken, and this actually happens. So you need to actually go for the domain name generators, pull out your ideas, plug in some common terms over there and see what comes out, right? You can go for Nameboy. This is something which is actually amazing. This is a tool, you can go for it. I recommend it because this is the oldest and most popular one. And this is the point where you actually have to take action. You need to act quickly before someone else takes it, because each day thousands of new domain names are registered from all parts of the world. So if you have found a domain name that you like, don't wait too long. Domain names are actually like the real estates. Thousands of people are actively looking for good brandable domains. So you need to actually take action. Whenever you find one, go for it, register it before someone else takes it, right? And the last thing is the most popular domain registrars. Don't go for any such registrars, because there are thousands of registrars. but I'm gonna actually highlight you some of the best registrars which you can go for. So where to buy a domain name from? I personally recommend you to go for GoDaddy, Namecheap, HostGator, Bluehost, or BigRock, because these are the most trustworthy domain name provider, and I personally have used each one of them, right? So you actually need to go for the one which people trust in, right? So these are some domain name provider who actually are good and established in the market. But if you want additional benefit, then wait, don't just go and buy out, right? I am giving you a deal, right? So along with the domain, we actually need a web hosting too, because as I told you, these are the two fundamental units which we need to have in order to set up a website. So for buying a hosting, I will personally recommend you to go for the SiteGround hosting or Bluehost hosting or HostGator. These three are the best hosting as of now if you want to go for shared web hosting, because if you are just a beginner, then you want to go for a shared web hosting because it's cost effective and it will not actually pull a weight out of your pocket. So you can go for these hostings, right? So SiteGround is my personal favorite because they provide you with the SSD speed, SSD hosting services, but in the terms of cost and in terms of services, Bluehost is best, right? Because Bluehost actually offers you a free domain for 1 year along with their hosting package. So you can find out the link of the Bluehost in the description. Just go over there, buy that, and you are ready to go. You can also go with the basic plan because you are just starting out, but I would recommend you to go for Choice Plus, because in a year or two, if you are looking for a long run, you will be needing more than one website. So just go for that. I will also be putting the links to other hostings as well. You can check them out for yourself, right? So now you have a hosting, you have a domain. Now it's time to connect them, and we will connect them using DNS. So I already told you about what DNS is. Now all you need to do is, if you have bought hosting from Bluehost, then there is no need to set up the DNS because it's already set up for you, right? So it actually makes it easy for you to connect your website because it's already connected, right? Now what you need to do is, if you have purchased your domain name from GoDaddy and hosting from some other hosting provider, then you must have received an email in which there will be domain name servers. You will find out the domain name servers in your email ID. Now what you need to do is, you just need to log in into your domain name provider such as GoDaddy, right? So log in there, go to the manage DNS option and click on update name servers. And instead of the name servers of GoDaddy, replace them with the name servers of your hosting which you have received in the mail after the purchase. Just by doing this, you have connected your domain name with the hosting. This is it. Now it's time for you to install the WordPress. We will be going over the WordPress in the next video, right? There will be complete tutorial for you guys along with this part where I will actually dive into that. I will actually show you how to actually go and change the DNS of the domain name provider and actually connect a domain and hosting, right? And we will also be installing the WordPress. We will look for the best themes and plugins, and we will actually set up a blog for this. Is all we will be doing in the next video, but I will pause this video right at this point, and for the time being, just go out there and purchase your domain and your hosting, because you need to have those before actually diving into the blogging part, right? And always keep in mind, instead of studying, instead of listening to me, you need to take action. You need to practice, because without practicing things, you can't go further. You can't understand what actually is happening out there in the world. So you need to be very knowledgeable about the things, right? So if you have any questions, you can leave a comment in the comment section, or you can drop me an email at hostgendigital@gmail.com. I will reply as many emails as I can. You can also ping me up on my Instagram. I will be there for you. So don't you worry, because my team is always there for you to help you in your problems, right? So Again, to download all the PDF and templates, just head over to Hershgen Digital/coaching, enroll yourself in the free course of Blogging Unlocked, and you will find every material, every PDF and worksheets in the material section of the LMS itself. Thank you for watching this video. Looking forward to seeing you in the next one. Till then, stay safe, stay happy.